an applaud moment. Help me. Ah, you talking about who? Like, bye. Never. Beats, Beats. Why this thing doing this? It says we're having trouble. What's happening? This thing said we're having trouble, and I already started. Oh no. Oh yeah. So that's just that. It's about that time. I do free my mind. Got that praise on. The real is you. Time is 4 o'clock. But he's sure. What So Soleil wants to know. Soleil wants to know why the person in the flyer, Deondra, and this ain't spelled right. What's that? Who do that?
Who it is?
You do that?
I did that?
Yes, you did.
Let me check
fix it though.
Install.
Girl, if you DEO.
I changed it.
I fix it too.
Okay.
Why you freeze though? Why your body ain't moving?
You can't see me?
I see this. It's just like you stall. Like you just like that. This you right here.
I don't know what's happening. Let me go on my thing. Hold on.
Go ahead. I can talk. I have a lot of things to talk in my intro. So go ahead.
All right.
You gotta take care of some thoughts over there. Very well.
Never. When can I have a new speaker?
Okay.
Not the speakers.
How about now?
What?
Hey? How about now? I move in?
So what gotta happen? Wally gotta fix it?
You have to find the part.
Oh. So just bear with it. Okay. Star 106 hits. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Wellness Wednesday, everybody. Good to be in your company once again. Yours truly, the Natural Empress. Of course, today's show is powered by Bahamas Air. Today is the final day for you to get your name in the drawing. Of course, for all you Patriot fans and Miami Doll fans, it's going down on October the 29th. Hard Rock Stadium over there in South Florida, and your chance to win. You're going to find out who's going to be flying with us, I think, by the end of the week. All right, but today's the last day for those entries. So if you've made an international flight, send your confirmation code to marketing@bahamasair.com. Got to say thank you to CFAL. Pinder Tile has got us this hour as well. Yes, I got to say a big thank you, of course, to Muffler World and KFC. Thank you to the Cleveland Clinic. All right. And of course, Grace is doing it big over there in South Florida as well with the Jerk Festival happening on November the 12th. And of course, your Star family wants to take you there. All you got to do is visit our contest page, and you are simply going to you're going to put in this passcode. We've got a phrase for you that gives you an extra entry. So what you do, today's phrase is simply Jamaican Jerk Festival. All right. So we're going to fly you there. We're going to give you VIP tickets to see the likes of Morgan Heritage, Ding Dong, and Collie Buds, to name a few. All right. With that said, it's time to get into it. A Wellness Wednesday. Dr. Deondra Smith is with us. Of course, it's been a minute since she's passed through. And Deondra, it's always good to have you on a Wellness Wednesday. How are you?
Always good to be here. I am well.
You know, when we ask that question, generally speaking, people tend to, just ask but not really care if that makes sense. It's just a icebreaker. It's a conversation piece. Hey, how you doing? But do people really actually care? And when people ask, how are they intentional with that question when posing that question? You think?
Mm. I think more time than not, people really don't care too much about your response. I think the how you doing, what you saying, how it go, they have become um, basic greetings and not actual intentional questions. So I do think that people tend to not wait for a response when they give it.
All right. Of course, we had Coach Ricardo Miller on the show on Monday, and Monday's topic was about finishing strong. In the game of football, the fourth quarter, is the quarter, is the one to watch. And people are getting ready to, I think if I remember, I saw somebody's post yesterday. So today, minus one, it's 68 days to be exact until Christmas from today's date, right? Which means that we're getting one step closer to 2024. Them people who be counting Christmas is amazing, right? But nevertheless, mentally, how do we prepare for the new year? People talk about making resolutions that, for the most part, they don't stick to. A lot of people make those resolutions at the beginning of January. It's always about the new year, the new me, and I can lose weight. I go into the gym. I can start drinking green juice. You know what I mean? But mentally,
Yeah.
how do we prepare?
Yeah. I think resolutions can be somewhat dangerous because
Say what?
resolution yeah, let me preface this by saying why resolutions I was having this conversation with someone else. Resolutions can sometimes be forced and not genuine, and that's why they can be a bit dangerous. Because if I am feeling motivated, personally motivated to do something, I might be more inclined to do it versus being told that I am expected to do it. Uh, I love my church people, but they might hate me when I say this. It's similar to fasting, right? At the beginning of the year, a lot of churches might engage in fasting, but sometimes some people fall off of the fast because it really wasn't personally motivated, right? It was told that they should do it. And so resolutions can be similar to that. So I tell people the first thing that you want to do to prepare for the end of the year or to prepare for a new year is to first reflect. See where you have come from,
Continue.
accomplished
Okay, so we're having a little technical
thus far.
difficulty. We're going to take a quick break right here. When we come back, more with Dr. Deondra Smith right here on The Star.
Football season and Bahamas Air.
Uh-oh.
Okay, now you're good.
That's what I'm saying. On my side, it's full. Like my bars are full. I don't know why
Well, you're good
it's
now.
showing that.
You're very good now. Okay,
It's
no
free.
worries, no worries. Those commercials have to play anyway.
I wonder if I should move. I don't know where I can go.
No, don't move, child. Wherever you is right now, don't move.
Oh, but
Don't.
I didn't. That's the thing. I didn't move. I think it's just the Wi-Fi.
Jesus, you look like your brother with a scarf.
Don't say that.
That's that's crazy, boy. You look like your brother with a scarf. My God. Yikes. Okay, here we go. Let's get you.
With the Seatbelt Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest?
Got one more commercial.
Always, always.
Oh, you. Okay, there you are. You good?
And
Okay.
see, I hope this doesn't start acting up as soon as you get back on the thing.
And this is it right now. Here we go.
like porcelain. And so I got a hex, Oxford white, elephant gray, and
How
red.
about now? It's still good.
And I get a square 24 by 24, Oxford white, elephant gray, and rare black porcelain tile.
Tired of all the talking heads?
President Noah Oppenheim is when it was first introduced in 1979.
Kick back with less talk and the best variety of music. Star 106 hits.
Star 106 hits. Welcome back. Free your mind on a Wellness Wednesday. Dr. Deondra Smith in the house. Once again, good to have you as we get ready. The countdown is on. 2024 is right around the corner. And generally speaking, you find people always say, they're going to put their best foot forward. But doing that, I think mentally should require some work. And are we willing to put the work in? Before we took a break, you spoke about reflecting. Now, reflecting does not necessarily mean, while you're at the bar or while watching TV, thinking about some things like how good are we as Bahamians in quiet time? You know what I mean? To reflect, man, the eyes open up. Lord of mercy. So, word reflect usually is synonymous to when you're sitting in the house of the Lord. But outside of that, do we really reflect? Do we think about these things in its entirety?
I think reflection calls stillness. And in our culture, we don't always know how to be still. I had a friend of mine say to me, she's also a clinician, a mental health clinician. She said, I had a therapist friend say to me, why or what am I trying to avoid by remaining busy? And I was like, interesting. We do busyness well in our culture. And we have to ask ourselves, what do we potentially avoid? What are we trying to avoid the stillness, the idea of sitting with our thoughts, the idea of maybe reflecting on the good and the bad? And so do we keep moving like the Energizer Bunny because we're afraid of what might come up if we're still? And so
all right, I'll tell you what. Two things. When people, because I'm a really, really proud Grand Bahamian, and a lot of times people say, oh, child, Freeport too quiet. You know what I mean? Too still. But when you experience that level of quiet and that, stillness, it's a great time to reflect. But
yes.
people from the capital, I think people who come from major cities are just not accustomed to the quiet. The quiet is reflected or is looked upon as boring. It evokes a feeling of boredom because there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
And talk about running away from things. I think I can speak from personal experience. I kept busy the minute my parents died. Like, I never took time off from work. There was no compassionate leave. They died Friday. I was to work Monday. I ID'd the body on Saturday and then moved on. You know what I mean? And that kept, at least what I thought was the best thing to do. You hear people deal with grief. They say, you know what, the best thing to do is to keep busy. And that's not necessarily the right way, but that is some people's grief mechanism. You just keep busy.
It helps us to cope. It helps us to deal with the uncomfortable, because sometimes we're not in the physical space, mental space, or emotional space to deal with overwhelming things. And so, for example, when we start to talk about, grief and loss, that in itself can be so difficult to swallow. And so it's easier to just keep it going. And you're absolutely right. The world doesn't expect us to stop. Our culture, our country does not expect us to stop. Because if we do stop, the question is, well, how long you stopping for? Like, how long you think you ain't over this yet? Like, man, it's been this long, right? And
Jesus.
so at the end of the day, that's why we keep it moving. We keep it moving so that we could protect ourselves from the expectations and opinions of others, right?
Others.
Because if other people think that I'm okay, then they can leave me alone. Or if other people think that I'm okay, then I'm still labeled as strong. I'm still labeled as, I got it all together. But really and truly, the damage is invisible. The damage that we're doing to ourselves is internal. It's not for others to see. And so
Right.
when we think about going back to your initial question about what reflection does and how stillness can help us, is that a lot of times people
There's the
avoid,
coach.
a lot of times people avoid reflecting on what was and what occurred without throughout the year because it's still painful to go through it, right? For
Mhm.
example, losing a job, maybe losing a loved one, maybe, whatever it is, it's easier to just move forward. But in order to truly and genuinely progress forward, we have to know where we are and we have to know where we have come from.
Mhm.
So I always tell people before you set these resolutions, take stock, set a baseline, figure out what am I resolving from, right? What am I, what am I working from?
I'll tell you this because I'm glad that Coach is here. 'Cause like I said on Monday, Coach spoke about, finishing the last quarter strong. And, his first point was about the same thing you're saying, reflecting. But I'm going to say this to you and say it to him once again. You guys are no longer the 242. So when in Rome, you do as Romans do. That's the foreign way,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
thinking. Certain things he says on a Monday, I'm like, Coach, remember this the 242. We don't necessarily roll like that.
yeah.
Mind you, it's sound advice. It's definitely needed, but our people need something to propel them to get
Mm.
to that point where even the only thing we like about foreign is shopping. Anything else? I don't know. You can't heal what you don't face. Yes, coach. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But Empress, you bring up a really good point that our culture doesn't do the best at supporting individuals through their stillness. And it's also because it's uncomfortable for our culture, because that means that we have to connect with vulnerability, right?
Yikes.
We have to actually you started this conversation by asking, do we really mean when we what, or do we wait for the answer? Is it genuine when we ask how are you doing? It's
Right.
because we have to get comfortable with waiting for someone to say to us, no, I'm not okay. No, this year was rough. No, actually, what happened was this XYZ.
Right.
And I think it starts with us. And I know it's going to sound weird because, yes, we're talking about the culture, but if I expect other people to treat me a certain way or to engage with me a certain way, I have to set the expectation for them to do so.
Mhm.
So, for example, if I'm crying, I'm just saying, if I'm having a really rough day and someone says to me, "Girl, what you crying for? You need to get over this." I might respectfully say to that person, "No, I don't. I don't have to get over it. And when I'm ready to get over it, I'll let you know." Right?
that
So
was
so
that was the Deondra nice way, 'cause that
it
wasn't
was,
Empress way.
but but
Oh,
but what that does is it's setting a precedent. It
yeah.
is now letting that person know how I need
Hi.
you, right? How I need you to work with me or manage my emotions. So it takes time, it takes support, and you're right. We might not always have that in our culture, but it has to start somewhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I see quite a few people on this feed right now that one person in particular that's hiding behind a name, right? Um, no, really, their thing, their situation is about having children. All right. It's a situation where um, they don't want any more as such, but their significant other is adamant about having, getting to the point where after having a few girls, now they want a boy, right?
Mm.
And she doesn't necessarily want to, and mentally she is in a serious bind. She's not financial. They're not financially stable as such. And she said to me when she heard that you were coming on to find out if maybe I am mental for doing this to myself and to the unborn children that I'm bringing into this world that I cannot manage.
Oof. Well, when I thank you for that question. I think I feel honored that it was specifically for me, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm almost afraid to answer it. But at the same time, I guess my question first would be mental. Okay, am I mental for feeling this way? I Number one, don't think that you are. I'm speaking to that young woman. I don't think that you are wrong for feeling or for knowing that you don't want something. I think that it is okay to recognize that your desires and your husband's desires might be different. I know that we've been expected to believe that we are to walk in agreement 100%, but that's not human, right? There's no way that we will always agree. However, what sets a functional relationship apart from a dysfunctional one is communication, and the right form of communication, the appropriate form of communication. So my first question I'm going to pose to her is, what factors are influencing you to feel like you cannot be honest with your husband about why you don't want that or children?
Hmm.
um, do you feel obligated to give your
Hmm.
husband a child? If
Hmm.
so, why? Where is that coming from? uh, would your husband support you if your opinion about this child was different from him? So there are a lot of questions, okay? Because I'm not. I respond better with questions than I do with straight answers because everybody's situation is different. So I would start there. I would definitely ask those questions about what would it mean if I did not give my husband this what he wants,
Hmm.
and would I be available to care for this baby after the baby is produced? Because physically is one thing, but we have to remember that our physical, mental, emotional, they all kind of work together. So if I can't show up, or if I'm already knowing, right? I'm already knowing that I don't think I want this child, that's going to show up in what I do, right?
There you have it. This is exactly what she's feeling. You know what? If I don't do it, he'll go somewhere else.
Woo! Well, then that's another question. Underneath that is, will a baby make someone stay? Because
Ooh,
underneath the idea
nice.
of having a baby elsewhere, that sounds like an issue of trust. That sounds like an issue of, could my relationship be over and I really just want it to not be over, so I'm gonna do whatever he asks me
Sure,
to.
sure.
That's a totally different. That's a. I think that's beyond the baby. You know.
AJ says sometimes you don't have to tell a significant other how to treat you or things you're supposed to do. Sometimes some things supposed to be automatic. You automatically know a woman or man expects you to be faithful.
Yeah, I don't ever think a human life should be used as someone's reason to stay, because at some point that life will grow up, at some point that life will move on, and your relationship is still there.
Yeah. And
So you have to ask yourself, what else am I really hoping for to give him so that he would stay? And also, is it really the baby? Again, is it really the baby that will make him stay? 9 times out of 10, it really isn't.
you know what? We're going to take a break on that one. Dr. Deondra Smith is in the house. We're going to take a quick break right here. We're going to find out what's happening traffic wise. We got our Eye in the Sky traffic report, followed by more on a Wellness Wednesday right here on the Star. Stay tuned.
First early afternoon look at traffic, and we're looking good.
Now, I'm sure you saw this would have been last month, I think,
Mm.
because there were so many memes and things going around on social media about the young lady who crashed her car into her husband's car to
Mm.
stop him and the sweetheart. You saw those videos?
Saw the videos. I saw the videos. And then the
Okay,
sweetheart walking off from the car. Yeah, I saw that.
right. Okay, so did you see part two when the wife went, girl, where were you? When the wife goes to the sweetheart house by herself up a flight of stairs to go and confront the sweetheart, and the sweetheart two daughters, the youngest one being 16, fought her. Yeah. You ain't had the second part. I got to send you the second part.
Oh, I did not see the second video.
Okay, so that brought a lot of questions. That sparked a whole lot of questions because
Wow.
mentally, and listen, when the two daughters pushed her down the stairs, she fell and hit her head on the gas tank that was at the
Oh,
bottom of the
Jesus.
staircase. Yeah, I mean that could have ended totally different too.
Yeah.
But mind you, the the sweetheart did not physically put her hands on the wife. Her kids did.
The kids did. Mm-hmm.
Kids did, right? And the question was, and I think what everybody was trying to figure out, like mentally, where were you, or what was going on with you that you thought it okay to go and confront, not just one, confront this woman, but at her house?
At her house. Yeah.
That?
At her house. Boy. Boy, love will make you do some. Well, love, put that in quotes. Love will make
Right.
you will do some things for sure.
Gee, we back on. Hold on. Star 106 Hits. Welcome back. Free your mind on a Wellness Wednesday. Of course, we talk mental health today. Of course, Dr. Deondra Smith is in the house. And of course, as we get ready to embark on a new year in just a matter of a few months, I think I said somebody posted today that today, is 68 days until Christmas, which means that we're so much closer to the year 2024. And you mentioned reflection. You mentioned, intentionally figuring out exactly what it is you want, other than the superficial every year resolutions. I'm going to lose weight this way this year. I'm going to go to church more. What are the other typical ones that we say? And I'll ask that to the listening audience and those that are on Facebook. Type, generally what would be your New Year's resolution, and I want you to type those of the past and how successful you are or were at getting to them, versus being more intentional and putting more thought into what it should be. That makes sense?
Yeah. I was thinking of things. I was gonna answer your question, but in the opposite way. Like, what are resolutions that don't, address more of
Right.
the deeper level, which might be, I want to be more emotionally available to my partner, right? I want
Girl,
to.
you coming with these Coach Ricardo Miller answers like y'all living foreign. Girl, if y'all don't do it, y'all don't do
Let me
it.
let me give an example. Let me break it down when I say I want to be more emotionally available. So, for example, instead of, I know my husband or my boyfriend or my girlfriend or whoever make me so mad. She make me mad, right? And I now, my like I said, my boyfriend comes home and I now give him the cold shoulder. I given him the silent treatment, and I just
And
all
shop
day,
lock.
right?
Don't forget the shop lock.
Oh, right. All closed, shop closed, right? So, and then instead of me using that opportunity to say to him, you know what? I'm really angry. Okay? I'm angry at the fact that you decided to go out with your boys instead of spending time with me when you know I'm not home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's being emotionally available. That's it. Being able
Done.
to
And I'm
go
going to say,
ahead.
as I said this on a Monday, very, very often, I'll say it to you on a Wednesday. I think one of the biggest problems we have as Bahamians is being able to communicate effectively. All right.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I'll give you an example. Something as simple as, and we've seen it during the pandemic, where people lost their jobs. I mean, this was beyond your control. You took out a loan with the bank. You owe the bank. The bank is calling you to find out, hey, like we've seen that you have not made 3 payments in the last couple of months. Rather than answer the phone and say, hey, bank, I lost my job. I'm working on getting one. And as soon as I can, maybe there's something we can do. Maybe you can lower the payments, whatever. Make some arrangement by having a simple conversation. You know what we do? We look at the phone, we see the bank number because we know the number well, and we suck our teeth, throw the phone down.
Yeah.
We don't communicate effectively. As
Yeah.
Coach always says, we don't like to be bent out of shape. Anything that makes us uncomfortable, we're gonna avoid it. That's it, and that's all.
And if I was seeing someone like who you just mentioned in that example in therapy, from the perspective that I work from in therapy, I would take that person all the way back as to where and how that communication pattern began. So, for example, when I was growing up, maybe the idea of expressing my emotions was silenced. I never had
Mhm,
the opportunity to, right?
mhm.
Because something happened to me. Let's say something happened to me, I don't know, at church, or something happened to me at school and an adult did it. And I'm not talking about sexual, I'm just saying in general, somebody just hurt my feelings or something. I might have been told by my parents or an adult, ain't nothing wrong with you. Ain't
Yeah.
nothing wrong. Right? So I'm learning over time that it is not okay and it is not safe to express how I feel. And if I express how I feel, I am either labeled disrespectful, I am labeled I am labeled angry, I am labeled as sensitive, overly emotional. So I learned to just suck it up. I learned to just internalize it, and the internalized idea of emotion now becomes resentment, passive aggression, now becomes anger. So we have to find out first, why are we the way that we are? Because you're right, as a culture we have been silenced. As a culture, because we could go there in terms of political level and everything, right? But as a culture, we have been taught that it is not okay to individualize from the status quo. It is not okay to express yourself. It is okay to just suck it up, keep it
Press.
moving, and
Mhm.
just move on along in life. So, but yet now we require people. We're hoping that they can now express themselves, but we don't tell them how. We don't
Well,
tell them it's okay.
let's talk about our men where that's concerned, because I think a lot of relationships are failing based on the lack of communication where men
Yeah.
are concerned. Sir, you ain't never supposed to see him cry. That's a no-no, right?
Mm-hmm. And I, you know, and I think even with that, same thing. We teach our kids very young, our boys, toughen up, be a man, right? Boys don't cry, but yet all of a sudden when they get 30, 40, 50, we expect an emotionally present man, an emotionally available man, but we never allowed that man when he was a boy to be emotionally available. So throughout that man's life, he is taught indirectly and directly that your emotions are not safe here. That the only emotion that we will ever accept from you is anger. The only emotion that is okay for you is frustration, irritability. Other than that, stuff that away. And we have to be really careful, because that is the message that passes on through generations. And so who has to pick up the pieces when that's the message that's being taught to our men? Us, as the women, right? So we now are suffering, or we now have to now teach and raise boys to become emotionally available men. It's a cycle.
Yeah, but again, are we aware? Because this new generation, the mothers are becoming younger and younger.
Yeah.
But are they being taught to make the difference?
And I
How
think
do you
that
how do you grow your son?
so with my son, I I teach my son that it is okay to cry, even at 3, right? My son, I was just telling a friend of mine this yesterday, that when my son gets overly stimulated, or like just really, really upset, he will now say to himself, it's okay. It's okay. Right? And the reason why he's saying it's okay is because we have spoken that into him, right? We're not saying, suck it up, don't cry. We're allowing him to express his emotion. And then we're saying, now you can calm yourself the way that you see fit. But unfortunately, you're absolutely right. Babies are babies. And when babies are having babies, the babies that are having these babies haven't been given the opportunity to raise themselves. They
That's right.
haven't grown up, you know? And so if you don't, if it's very hard, and this is why, you know, I hate when we villainize and we criminalize. Now, don't get me wrong. Criminals are criminals, right? They do the crime. They have to pay. What I say? They they got to pay the time, right?
I gotta
But
do the time.
but what we tend to forget is that those individuals also come from someplace, and we have to also understand that our system our systems has failed our society in many different ways. When we think of the breakdown of the family, right, there's a reason why we have children raising children, right? Because if we had the parents structured in the home in the way that they were supposed to be, and what I mean by that is providing emotional support, providing, the basic needs, fulfillment of basic needs, then some of these other issues would not be issues. So if you've ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what Maslow in the psychology world is saying is that if we can fulfill basic needs of an individual, then the rest of those needs on that tower will be fulfilled and met. But what's happening is at the ground level, some of our individuals are not being fulfilled. So it's literally a ripple effect. We will start to see the breakdown of these needs being met. And we have to do better as a society. As a psychologist, I do a certain part, right? I'm the person that might come in when someone has experienced that breakdown and they've recognized that I need some assistance in building myself back up. But if we all do our part, every single the family system, the community, all of these different areas, then we I hate to say it, but I wouldn't need to have a job. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? We would work myself out of a job. So, I could be on my soapbox all day about like the social implications of where we are and how mental and emotional health comes very much out of this idea of like our society and community. But we just have to do better to play our part.
Well, unfortunately, we're building up a young boy to be a man and allowing him to, be emotional is next to nil here. And you know that because at the end of the day, we also have a very homophobic society. So if this little boy crying like that, like why are you raising this boy to be a little girl?
It'll be
Every minute
soft.
he's crying,
You may,
and you let him do
hmm
that. You know
you
what I mean?
you absolutely right. And it's sad because made wow, we have made we have made emotional expression synonymous with sexuality, right? And it's like, my goodness, why can't a boy who is just as human as my girl, as my daughter, why can't he also express that emotion? And why are we so fearful of that, of a man being able to say that I'm stressed out right now, I am overwhelmed right now, because that it goes a long, long way.
All right, I'm gonna leave with this one. Maybe another day we could touch it, but I gotta read it. This may be a touchy topic for another day. But do you believe same-sex couples raising
Ooh,
kids are doing more harm than doing the kids good? You don't have to say anything.
that's definitely for another day.
I know, right?
That's definitely for
Oh
another day.
man, yeah. So we'll touch that one another day. But Doc, thank you so much.
My
Touch and
pleasure.
go. It was great having you as always. For those that want to follow you, please tell them how.
Yes, you can find me at Dr. So that's Deondra Smith on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those. And website is drdeondrasmith.com.
All right, there you have it. Cuz, thank you so much.
No
And folks,
problem.
to do. Keep it locked. Top of the hour, 5 o'clock. Your drive at 5 with yours truly and DJ AI comes your way.
Wherever you are in the world.
You see how they like throw a rock and then run?
Listen, when I tell you, I say, boy, you ain't got because I know I just know somebody waiting to trap you. So that's
Yeah,
why I'm like, yeah,
boy.
we ain't doing that. We
Yeah.
ain't doing that.
Not
Because
that and having conversations about abortion, because we
So
just had we just had situation this week.
I
15-year-old or 14, I think it was, raped, and the you know the story.
the doctor being held. I just told a friend of mine, I said it's so interesting how in our society we're so much more concerned about the doctor rather than the person who had the baby with the minor. But I say, that's a whole nother
Yeah,
subject.
who got the young girl pregnant? Notice we hear much about him.
And that's why I say, I think at the end of the day, there's so much things going on in our country that like we got to touch on in order to get to the other stuff. But
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's
man, any time as always, it's fun chatting.
Yes, there are two types of parents identified when a child gets cut. The one who rushes to the child to try and comfort the child, and the one who leaves them to cry. Yeah, yeah.
That's
What were
true.
you crying for?
That's so true, huh?
Yeah. Thank you, coach. Yeah, he needs to be jailed. I think oh, hold on. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think he did go to jail. I think. But most people, nobody's really talking about him. It's about, oh my God, how could Dr. Minutes do that? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
It's illegal. It's illegal. It is illegal in the country.
right. And I
We
think that,
can't run away from that.
and I agree that if there's a law in the books, you have to follow the law. However,
Wow.
the laws were set from ages ago,
Yeah,
centuries ago, where
yeah,
they no longer apply.
yeah.
Because I just don't see where in our world we're okay with a minor getting pregnant and being forced to carry that pregnancy. You know,
No, I take it a step further. We have been okay with 16 being the legal age of consent. And
that
nobody's lobbying for that to be changed.
that's it.
Everybody's comfortable with it. But you telling your 16-year-old, keep your leg closed. Huh? But at the end of the day, if she chooses not to, who are you as the parent to say anything? You can't do jack.
Not a thing. Not
What
a
can
thing.
you do? It's
Not
legal and nobody's making noise about that.
no,
It's
no,
okay.
no. And that's why I said we
I'm
we
not.
we've not been able to really, I think, have the space to voice like some of these concerns because again, like I was saying in when we were on that we've learned how to just mosey on along, keep it
Mhm.
moving, right? Because
Oh, and yeah.
if we challenge things, then that's a whole nother situation.
Yeah, but
But
without a platform like this, man, listen to me. Social media is on fire.
it
You know
is.
what I'm saying?
It
You can
is.
use social media for virtually anything. You want your voice to be heard? Just
Yeah.
say something contrary to the status quo,
You're
right?
right.
And it'll get out there, but ain't nobody talking about it.
You know what
Nobody.
it is, though? I realize that there are platforms talking about it, but they don't get airtime because people don't agree with it. And so, for example, I actually found, I think it's a page called Equality 242 or something like that. There are some Instagram pages that
Okay.
focus that have been focusing on these topics. And they're a bit hidden because, as you can imagine, being on a
Subject matter, yeah. Well, I saw her reaching for the camera.
can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Okay, now you
Okay,
froze.
yeah.
Girl, you are
So like
free.
being on a
Okay.
public platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So being on a public platform isn't always what they would like to they want a public platform, but they're also afraid of the backlash of that public platform, you know?
Yeah.
And I think our country does a really good job of scaring, indirectly and directly scaring those that oppose traditional views,
Sure.
scaring them to silence,
Yeah.
because
And that's how it works.
I don't think we know how to debate appropriately. It's like how you talked about communication, how we don't know how to communicate efficiently. Because my thing is,
Don't know how to agree to disagree.
that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you could have a point, I could have a point, and we ain't got to get disrespectful. And I
No.
feel like sometimes we don't know how to do that because we're such a passionate people that we is like we embody everything, even down to Saxons and Valley. We ready to fight you.
Yes, boy, there's fighting words.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. I feel like we just don't know how to just disagree. We can disagree respectfully without having to get to blows. And I feel like whenever certain topics come up in in our country and in our culture, it's
There's a
like
no.
it's a
It's
no go.
it's better you just leave that alone, boy. Don't even talk with that. Don't talk with that.
Right, because it's just like, oh no, you know what, I could go, and it's like,
And the church helps the government shut conversations down. See, Sean, see all of y'all Bahamians abroad, see all us be throwing these big rocks. Sean, that's one in Texas. Sean, don't do it.
oh, but that's so sad though that we Bahamians, right? We have to go out of the country to feel liberation,
Boy, victimization is real, you know.
and
What?
like that to me, I was just reading a book with my students about um if anyone ever is interested in like literature, or if you've maybe read certain black poetry and literature, and James Baldwin is one of like a really reputable poet, right? Baldwin talks about the fact that he had to leave the United States in the 1960s, right? He left the United States in the 1960s because he was being discriminated against as a black male, right? And he said he had to flee to Paris in order to experience a level of liberation that he could not get in his own country. And I'm saying to myself, like, all these people that like we joking about it, but for many of us who are speaking about some of these issues, we left our country in
Yes.
order to actually speak up against some of these things because we fear what would happen if we lived in the country and had these
Oh,
same
yeah,
views.
can't do it.
And it's sad. It's really sad. So
Can't do
I really hope to one day. I hope one day I coming back. One day.
You ain't coming back nowhere. Bye, Dion. You come and eat a bowl of Kong salad and some guava duff, and then you gone. It's all
I
good. Come sing to somebody wedding, and then you gone. Everything cool.
No man, I coming back at
All
some point.
right, darling. Thank you so much.
No
Great
problem.
having you. Look forward to another one, eh?
Yes, ma'am. I'll see you soon.
Okay, Mama.
All right, bye.